let's go to Jeremy Sochan, Ethan.
Ooh.
Also, another person kind of with a unique season, because at the beginning of the season when he's playing next to Victor, I mean, he's getting a bunch of stat muse tweets. He's the star of the show, it feels like, other than Victor. And then obviously we have the injuries that we do. He gets thrown into a bunch of different positions that aren't his natural position, but this time it's not point guard, it's other stuff. um and and then again, you don't really get to see him, I feel like, at his best. And then I feel like a lot of people took the way that the rest of the season went as like an indictment on him as a player. And I'm just like, man, if you're watching this and you're seeing the rotation differences, it's just obvious to me that, unfortunately, he's just put in this position and he's just doing his best. Um, I think when we saw Jeremy next to Victor Wembanyama, which is where I think he's going to play long term, or even if he's not, even if he's going to be the 4 off the bench, let me put it that way. When Jeremy Sochan played the 4 this season next to a true center, I feel like you saw a ton of progression.
I would agree. That first half of the year was fantastic for Jeremy, and that's a great point. I forgot about that. Like, there was a point where he was basically averaging like 15 and 9. I'm pretty sure. I don't have the numbers in front
Let
of
me
me.
pull it up. Let's just go to the beginning of the season.
And now this is going to be wildly wrong.
No, here you go.
See, 17 and 8 in November or October. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was going crazy. He had a 13 and 8 as well in January, it looks like. So he was making strides offensively, and I think, yeah, this is his
Yeah.
best year efficiency wise. He actually jumped up 10%.
And then you
And
kind of see a fall off. Sorry.
no, you're fine. You're fine. 10% field goal percentage increase for Jeremy. About the same 3-point percentage wise, but I felt like he was getting his baskets in a more comfortable place on the court. He was showing us a lot of great things playmaking wise. I think his best rebounding year as well. Statistically, only 0.1 better. But I remember so many games where he was just getting double digit rebounds because he
Exactly.
was next to Victor. So I think, when he got moved to the bench, coupled with Victor going out, is when we saw a different Jeremy Sochan. But I think that never took away from his defense. His defense was A1 all year long. So I'm going to give his season grade an A minus, honestly. And the only reason I thought A plus is because of that weird stretch with the injuries as well, that kind of pushed him back a little bit.
Yeah, and for anybody who maybe has concerns about him injury wise, I feel like one last year, I mean, played 74 games, and then for the other two, I just feel like the context of us tanking at the end of the year is very key,
Yeah.
because he got shut down in both of those years at the end of the season, so that kind of took away like 10 games. So, I mean, if you want to say he's had like a little thing here or there every season, sure, but you can say that about a lot of players in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't seen a major injury from him. I really don't have any injury concerns about Jeremy Sochan. And again, I understand if you're looking at the numbers and it looks kind of the same, you're like, what the heck? But again, I think the context is just so key for this one. And I know we've talked about how, there's less caveats and context, with De'Aaron Fox being in the picture and Victor Wembanyama being in the picture and Stephon Castle being in the picture. But Jeremy is my asterisk to that when it comes to what happened to him this season, just rotationally.
Also, least minutes and least starts of his career this year.
Yeah, I think I honestly, as much as, like I said, you could say that there was a statistical fall off in the latter half of the year, I honestly only have more confidence in Jeremy. And dude, look at this, dude. He's only 21. He's not even 22 yet. He's got another month. This guy's long term. Yeah.
He's the real deal. I'm excited for what his future looks like.
1,000, right? One more player to talk about here. Obviously, the Spurs do have some other two-way guys on the roster, but this season, that just really wasn't as much of a factor. We will mention Riley Minix, Harrison Ingram, and David Duke Jr. Shout out to them for getting to the Western Conference Finals in the G League. But before we get to Bismack, Ethan, I forgot about, there's actually 2 more people, but this is the biggest one that we need to talk about. Julian Champagnie, somebody who was legitimately a part of the rotation, from the beginning of the year. What were your thoughts on Julian's season?
I thought he had a really positive season. I'd give him a B plus, maybe even an A minus, considering kind of what expectations were for him coming into the year. Early on, he was exceptional. I think he was averaging like close to 13 points a game, and then he tailed off in the middle of the year and kind of had a little bit of a resurgence to finish off the season. So I guess you could say negative consistency from deep,
Right.
like kind of a streaky shooter. But I think defensively, he has the ability to play with physicality along the perimeter. Obviously, he's not a perfect matchup for fours, but I mean, there are times in small ball lineups that he can play that as well. So he has some versatility, kind of a plug and play guy, right? Like we've seen him in the starting lineup,
Hmm.
we've seen him off the bench, and he's been successful in both roles. I think, he doesn't detract from the game plan. So all those things are positives. And for someone that's making as little money as he is, like I think he's absolutely a steal for the Spurs. And I had one more thing I wanted to say about him, and I'm blanking. Oh, this is a guy that I did compare to Keldon early on when Keldon was struggling. I was like, hey man, this guy is making like 90% less money and basically doing the exact same thing statistically. So at the end of the year, we can see that's not exactly the case. He averaged less points, rebounds, and assists as Keldon, and on less efficiency. But I think if you just take Julian for what he is as a 3-and-D spacer, plug and play guy, I think he had an A- season.
He truly is becoming the next Danny Green, Ethan. He's a Danny Green who can put the ball on the floor.
Right. Yeah, and I did ask Danny Green that question, and he did answer it, and he said, "I don't think he's nearly as good as me defensively." So Danny
Right.
Danny Green, he's a humble guy, but he's also, no BS. He was like, "Yeah, defensively, it's no contest."
He'll keep it real. He'll keep it real. So we're off on that, but still still a solid defense out there from
For sure.
Julian. Um, and like you said, man, I mean, we're not expecting him to be a world beater or anything. Just for him in his role, he honestly started in it this year.
Yeah.
And so again, next season, if you want to come on here and say like, hey, I think we could have an upgrade maybe at the backup three, like I'll feel you, like I'll get where you're coming from, but also I saw that there. Um,
Pause.
but but with that being said, I'm still gonna also be like, man, Julian Champagnie, for again, like you said, for the amount of money that he's making, and also just for the less amount of mistakes that he makes, like he's not a detriment to the team. He was mainly only a positive. And on nights that he's not shooting well, there's not a lot of things that he's doing that's really like a huge negative to the rotation. So, like I said, I understand if you think there could be an upgrade, but I also think that Julian is definitely very solid in that plug and play role, like you said.
Agreed.